When a stranger calls Michael Jordan on a Tuesday morning and says his son is lying unconscious on the street, everything changes in an instant, but Michael's sons are both safe at home. So who is this mysterious boy? And why would someone lie to get Michael's attention? What happens next will shock you and prove that sometimes the biggest lies lead to the most beautiful truths. Michael Jordan sat at his big wooden desk in his Chicago office. The morning sun came through the tall windows. He was looking at papers about his basketball camp for kids. The camp would start in 2 weeks. He wanted everything to be perfect. His phone buzzed. He looked at the screen. The number was not one he knew. Michael almost let it go to voicemail, but something made him pick up. "Hello?" he said. "Hello, Mr. Jordan." The voice was a woman. She sounded worried. "My name is Keisha Washington. I'm calling about your son." Michael's heart stopped beating for a second. His hands got cold. "Which son? What happened?" "He's unconscious on Maple Street. You need to come now." The phone almost fell from Michael's hand. His mind was spinning fast. Marcus was away at college in North Carolina. Jeffrey was working at his job downtown. Both his boys should be safe. "What do you mean unconscious?" Michael asked. His voice was shaky. "Which son? What's his name?" "Please just come," Keisha said. Her voice was soft but urgent. "Maple Street near the community center. The ambulance is here." "I'll be right there," Michael said. He was already standing up and grabbing his car keys. The call ended. Michael stared at his phone. His heart was beating so fast it hurt. He called Marcus first. "Dad?" Marcus answered on the second ring. "What's up? Are you okay? Where are you right now?" "I'm in my dorm room studying." "Dad, you sound weird. What's wrong?" "Nothing. I'll call you back." Michael hung up and called Jeffrey. His younger son picked up right away. "Hey, Dad." "Jeffrey, where are you?" "At work. We're super busy today." "Why? You're okay? You're not hurt?" "Dad, what's going on? You're scaring me." "I'm sorry. I'll explain later. Stay safe." Michael ended the call. Both his sons were fine. So who was unconscious on Maple Street? Why would someone call him about a son who wasn't his? He ran to the elevator. His mind was full of questions. Maybe the woman made a mistake. Maybe she called the wrong number, but something in her voice made him believe her. She sounded like she really knew him. The elevator seemed to take forever. Michael's hands were shaking. He kept thinking about his sons. They were both safe, but what if something happened after he talked to them? What if they were in trouble and didn't know it yet? Finally, the elevator opened. Michael ran to his car in the parking garage. He got in and started driving fast toward Maple Street. The traffic in Chicago was always bad, but today it felt worse. Every red light made him more nervous. While he drove, Michael tried to think. Did he have another son he didn't know about? That seemed impossible. Was someone trying to trick him? But why would they do that? His phone rang again. It was the same number. "Mr. Jordan, are you coming?" It was Keisha again. "I'm driving there now. But I need to know. Just hurry, please." She hung up again. Michael pressed harder on the gas pedal. He turned onto Maple Street and saw flashing lights. An ambulance and 2 police cars were parked on the side of the road. A crowd of people stood around. Michael parked his car quickly and got out. He could see the paramedics working on someone lying on the sidewalk. The person looked young, maybe 20 years old. He had dark skin and was wearing a Chicago Bulls t-shirt. "That's not my son," Michael said out loud. But his heart was still beating fast. A woman walked up to him. She was maybe 30 years old with kind eyes and short black hair. She wore scrubs like a nurse. "Mr. Jordan? I'm Keisha Washington. Thank you for coming." "But that's not my son," Michael said again. He felt confused and scared and angry all at the same time. Keisha looked at him with sad eyes. I know, but he needed someone to care. Michael stared at her. You lied to me? You said it was my son. I said I was calling about your son. I never said he was your son. The words hit Michael like a punch. This woman had tricked him. But looking at the young man on the ground, Michael felt something strange in his chest. The boy looked so alone. The paramedics were working hard to help him, but no family was there, no friends, just strangers watching. Who is he? Michael asked quietly. His name is Terrell Thompson. He's 19 years old. He collapsed while walking down the street. Michael watched as the paramedics put Terrell on a stretcher. The young man's face was peaceful, like he was sleeping. But his clothes were dirty and too big for him. His shoes had holes in them. Why did you call me? Michael asked Keisha. Because he needed help. And I hoped you might understand. The ambulance doors closed. Terrell was inside now, safe with the doctors. The crowd started to break up. People went back to their day. But Michael couldn't move. Is he going to be okay? He asked. I think so, Keisha said. But he doesn't have anyone. No family we can find. No emergency contact. Michael looked at this woman who had lied to get him here. He should be angry. He should get in his car and drive back to his office. But something kept his feet on the ground. What hospital are they taking him to? He heard himself ask. Keisha smiled for the first time. University Hospital, will you come? Michael didn't answer right away. He thought about his sons, safe at school and work. He thought about this stranger named Terrell, who had no one. He thought about Keisha, who cared enough about a boy to trick Michael Jordan into coming to help. Yeah, he said finally. I'll come. As they walked to their cars, Michael wondered what he was getting himself into. He didn't know this boy. He didn't owe him anything. But something deep inside told him this was important. This moment would change things. He just didn't know how much. Michael followed Keisha's car to University Hospital. His hands gripped the steering wheel tight. He still couldn't believe what just happened. A stranger had tricked him into coming to help another stranger. But here he was, driving to a hospital for a boy he'd never met. The parking garage was full. Michael had to drive around 3 times to find a spot. Keisha waited for him by the elevator. She looked nervous now, like she wasn't sure he would really come. Thank you, she said when he walked up. I wasn't sure you'd follow me. I'm not sure why I did, Michael said honestly. They rode the elevator to the 3rd floor in silence. The hospital smelled like cleaning supplies and sadness. Michael had been in hospitals before when his kids got hurt playing sports. But this felt different. At the front desk, Keisha asked about Terrell Thompson. The nurse pointed down a long hallway. They walked past rooms full of sick people. Michael saw families sitting by beds, holding hands and crying. It made his chest feel tight. Here, Keisha said, stopping at room. Through the glass window, Michael could see Terrell lying in the hospital bed. The boy looked even younger now. Machines beeped around him. An IV tube went into his arm. His eyes were closed, and his breathing was slow and steady. He looked so young, Michael said quietly. 19. Same age as my little brother, Keisha replied. A doctor came out of the room. She had gray hair and tired eyes. Are you family? She asked. I'm Keisha Washington from the community center. This is Michael Jordan. We're the ones who called for help. The doctor looked at Michael with surprise. The basketball player? Michael nodded. How is he? He collapsed from exhaustion and hunger. When did he last eat? Keisha and Michael looked at each other. Neither knew. We found his wallet, the doctor continued. His name is Terrell Thompson. He's 19 years old. But there's no emergency contact listed. No family phone numbers. What about his parents? Michael asked. We're still looking. But so far, we haven't found anyone. The doctor handed them a plastic bag with Terrell's things. His wallet was old and worn. Inside was a driver's license, $12, and a small photo. The picture showed Terrell in a red basketball uniform, holding a trophy. He was smiling big, like it was the best day of his life. He plays basketball, Michael said, studying the photo. Every day, Keisha said. He comes to our community center every morning at 6. Practices by himself for 3 hours, never misses a day. You know him? Not really. He keeps to himself, but I see him there all the time. He works so hard. Shooting the same shots over and over. Running drills like he's training for something important. Michael looked through the rest of Terrell's wallet. There was a library card and a receipt from McDonald's for $2.50. At the bottom of the bag was a backpack. Can we look through this? Michael asked the doctor. I suppose. Maybe there's a phone number for someone. Keisha opened the backpack carefully. Inside were 3 t-shirts, a pair of jeans, a toothbrush, and some deodorant. Like he was living out of the bag. Oh my, Keisha said softly. She pulled out a manila folder stuffed with papers. Michael looked over her shoulder as she opened it. Inside were dozens of newspaper clippings, all about basketball. Most of them were about Michael Jordan. Pictures from his playing days, articles about his championships, stories about his life after basketball. Why does he have all this? Michael asked. Keisha kept looking through the papers. She found school transcripts showing straight A's. She found a letter from a basketball coach saying Terrell had talent, but needed to gain weight. She found applications to 5 different colleges, all filled out, but never sent. At the bottom of the folder was an envelope with Michael Jordan's name written on it in careful handwriting. Inside was a letter that had never been mailed. Should we read it? Keisha asked. Michael's hands shook as he took the letter. It was written on notebook paper in neat cursive writing. Dear Mr. Jordan, my name is Terrell Thompson. I am 19 years old and I play basketball. I know you get a lot of letters from kids who want to play professional ball. I'm not writing to ask for money or fame or anything like that. I just wanted to tell someone who might understand what it feels like to love something so much it hurts. I've been alone for a long time now. Basketball is the only thing that makes sense to me. When I'm on the court, I feel like I belong somewhere. My parents died when I was 12. I've been in foster care since then. Some families were nice, some weren't, but none of them felt like home. I aged out of the system last year. Now I'm on my own. I sleep in my car most nights. I use the community center to shower and practice. I work at Joe's garage when they need help. I'm trying to save money for college, but it's hard. I watch videos of you playing, and I see something I want to be. Not famous or rich, just sure of myself. Just belonging somewhere. Just having people who care if I succeed or fail. I probably won't send this letter, but writing it helped me feel less alone tonight. Maybe that's enough. Thank you for showing kids like me that dreams can come true if you work hard enough. Sincerely, Terrell Thompson. Michael read the letter twice. His throat felt tight. This boy had been carrying around hope and pain in equal measure, and somehow Michael's story had been part of what kept him going. He's been living in his car, Keisha said quietly. For how long? The letter is dated 3 weeks ago. Michael looked through the hospital window at Terrell again. The boy was so thin. His face looked hungry even while sleeping. But there was something about him that reminded Michael of himself at that age. The determination, the loneliness, the desperate need to belong somewhere. I found something else, Keisha said. She held up a business card. It was Michael's card from the Jordan brand office. This was in his backpack too. Where did he get that? I don't know, but he's been carrying it around like a lucky charm. A nurse came by to check on Terrell. She adjusted his IV and wrote notes on a chart. "When will he wake up?" Michael asked her. "Soon, I think. His body just needed rest and fluids. He should be much better by tomorrow." Michael made a decision that surprised him. "I want to stay until he wakes up." Keisha smiled. It was the first real smile he'd seen from her all day. "I hoped you would say that. Why did you really call me?" he asked. The truth this time. Keisha was quiet for a long moment. She looked at Terrell through the window. "Because I've been watching him for months. Every day, working so hard, never giving up, but getting thinner and sadder. And today, when he collapsed, I found your business card in his bag. I thought maybe if someone he admired showed up, he'd know he wasn't completely alone in the world. You took a big risk. I could have been angry. You could have been. But I bet on your heart being bigger than your anger." Michael sat down in the uncomfortable plastic chair next to Terrell's door. Keisha sat down beside him. They watched the boy sleep and listened to the machines beep steadily. "What happens when he wakes up?" Michael asked. "I don't know," Keisha admitted. "But at least now he'll know someone cares." Michael thought about his own sons, safe in their beds with full stomachs and bright futures. Then he thought about this stranger who had somehow carried Michael's story with him as he faced each hard day alone. "Yeah," Michael said quietly, "someone cares." Michael woke up in the hospital chair. His neck hurt from sleeping in a bad position. The morning sun came through the window. He looked at his watch. It was 7 in the morning. He had been at the hospital all night. Keisha was gone. She had left around midnight to go home and sleep. But she promised to come back in the morning. Michael had stayed. He wasn't sure why, but something told him Terrell shouldn't wake up alone. A nurse came in to check on Terrell. She smiled at Michael. "You stayed all night?" "Yes." "How is he?" "Much better. His color looks good. I think he'll wake up soon." As if he heard her words, Terrell's eyes started to flutter. Michael sat up straight in his chair. The boy's head moved slightly on the pillow. "Terrell?" the nurse said softly. "Can you hear me?" Terrell's eyes opened slowly. He blinked several times, like the light was too bright. His eyes moved around the room, trying to figure out where he was. Then his gaze stopped on Michael. Terrell stared for a long moment. His mouth opened a little. "Am I dreaming?" he whispered. "No," Michael said gently. "You're in the hospital. You collapsed yesterday." Terrell tried to sit up, but felt dizzy. The nurse helped him lie back down. "Easy there. You need to take it slow." "Mr. Jordan?" Terrell's voice was hoarse. "Why are you here? This doesn't make sense." Michael moved his chair closer to the bed. "A friend called me. She said you needed help." "A friend? I don't have any friends." Terrell looked confused and scared. "Keisha Washington from the community center. She cares about you." Terrell's eyes got wide. "Miss Keisha? She called you?" "She did. And I'm glad she did." The nurse checked Terrell's temperature and blood pressure. "Everything looks good. Are you hungry?" Terrell nodded quickly. "Very hungry. I'll get you some breakfast. But start slow, okay?" After the nurse left, Terrell stared at Michael again. "I still don't understand. Why would you come here for me? You don't even know me." Michael pulled out the letter from Terrell's backpack. "Actually, I think I do know you a little bit." Terrell saw the letter and his face turned red. "You read that?" "Oh no. I never meant for anyone to see that." "Why not? It's a good letter. Honest."
It's embarrassing.
"I sound like a little kid. You sound like someone with dreams, someone who works hard. There's nothing embarrassing about that." Terrell was quiet for a minute. His eyes filled with tears. "I've been sleeping in my car for 3 weeks. I guess I wasn't eating enough. I was trying to save money." Michael's heart hurt hearing this. "Where do you work?" "Joe's garage on the south side." but it's only when they need extra help. Maybe 2 days a week. Sometimes 3 if I'm lucky. What about family? Parents? Terrell's face got sad. They died in a car accident when I was 12. I've been in foster care since then, but I aged out last year when I turned 18. Foster care, Michael repeated. He knew that meant Terrell had grown up without a real family. Some of the families were nice, Terrell said quickly. The Johnsons were really good to me, but they moved to Florida. The last family, they weren't so great. When I turned 18, I was on my own. A tear rolled down Terrell's cheek. He wiped it away fast like he was embarrassed to cry. I'm not trying to feel sorry for myself, he said. Lots of kids have it worse. I just get tired sometimes. Michael understood. Tell me about basketball. I saw the photo in your wallet. Terrell's face lit up a little. That was from my senior year in high school. We made it to the state semifinals. I was team captain. What position do you play? Shooting guard. Like you did. Terrell smiled for the first time. I studied all your games. The way you moved on the court. The way you never gave up. What's your best skill? I can shoot pretty well. And I'm fast. But I need to get stronger. Coach Williams always said I was too skinny. A breakfast tray arrived. Scrambled eggs, toast, orange juice and oatmeal. Terrell's eyes got huge when he saw all the food. This is a lot, he said. Eat as much as you can, Michael said. Your body needs it. Terrell ate slowly at first, then faster. He finished everything on the tray in 10 minutes. Michael could tell he had been really hungry. That was the best meal I've had in weeks, Terrell said. Where have you been eating? Dollar menu at McDonald's mostly. Sometimes I skip meals to save money for gas. Michael felt angry, but not at Terrell. Angry that a good kid like this had to choose between food and having a place to sleep. What's your plan now? Michael asked. I was trying to save enough money to apply to colleges. I filled out applications to 5 schools, but they all want application fees, and I'd need money for a campus visit. What do you want to study? Business maybe, or education? I think I'd like to coach basketball someday. Help kids who are like me. Michael smiled. That's a good dream. It's probably stupid. I'm not smart enough for college. You had straight A's in high school. I saw your transcripts. Terrell looked surprised. You went through my stuff? We were looking for emergency contacts. Sorry. It's okay, I don't have any emergency contacts anyway. That made Michael sad. Everyone should have someone to call when they're in trouble. Terrell, can I ask you something? Sure. Where did you get my business card? Terrell looked embarrassed again. I found it on the ground outside your office building 6 months ago. Someone must have dropped it. I kept it because... I don't know. It felt like a good luck charm or something. Michael nodded. And the newspaper clippings? I cut them out from the library. They let me use the computers there for free. I like reading about players who came from nothing and made something of themselves. Is that what you want? To be famous? Terrell shook his head. I just want to belong somewhere. Have people who care if I succeed or fail. Have a real home. The simple honesty of his words hit Michael hard. This wasn't about basketball or money or fame. This was about family, about having someone in your corner. Terrell, I want to help you. You already did. You came when I was alone. That means everything. I mean really help. With college applications. With having a place to stay. With having someone in your corner. Terrell stared at him. Why would you do that for me? Michael thought about the letter Terrell had written. About sleeping in a car while working toward his dreams. About being completely alone in the world but still getting up every morning to practice basketball. Because everyone deserves someone who believes in them. Terrell started crying again. But this time he didn't try to hide it. I've been alone for so long, he whispered. I forgot what it felt like to have someone care. You're not alone anymore, Michael said firmly. Keisha appeared in the doorway. She was holding coffee and a bag from the bakery down the street. Good morning, she said with a big smile. How are you feeling, Terrell? Better. Much better. Thank you for calling, Mr. Jordan. Keisha looked at Michael. Thank you for staying. I'm glad I did, Michael said. And he meant it. The three of them sat together in the hospital room. For the first time in years, Terrell felt like he might have found something he'd been looking for his whole life. People who cared. 2 hours later, Terrell was sleeping again. The doctor said rest was the best medicine. Michael and Keisha sat in the hospital cafeteria drinking coffee. The place was busy with doctors and nurses grabbing quick meals. I want to know more about him, Michael said. His background, his family. Something doesn't feel right. What do you mean? Keisha asked. A kid that's smart and that determined doesn't usually end up completely alone. Someone should be looking for him. Keisha pulled out her phone. I have some contacts who might help. I work with foster kids all the time. While Keisha made calls, Michael used his laptop to search online. He typed in Terrell Thompson, Chicago, and waited. Several results came up, but most were for different people. Then he found something. A newspaper article from 7 years ago. Car accident claims local couple. The headline read. Michael's heart sank as he read the story. Diana and Robert Thompson died in a car accident on Highway 55 last Tuesday night. They are survived by their son Terrell Thompson, age 12. The boy was not in the vehicle at the time of the accident. The article was short. It said Diana worked as a nurse. Robert was a mechanic. They had lived in Chicago their whole lives. Terrell went to live with his aunt after the accident, but there were no other details. Keisha, Michael called. Look at this. She read the article over his shoulder. Poor kid. 12 years old when he lost everything. It says he went to live with an aunt. What happened to her? Keisha got back on her phone. She called someone at the Department of Children and Family Services. Michael could only hear one side of the conversation, but it didn't sound good. Okay, thank you, Keisha said finally. She hung up and looked sad. What did they say? Terrell's aunt could only keep him for 6 months. She had her own kids and money problems. After that, he went into the foster system. Michael felt angry. 6 foster homes in 7 years. Sometimes it works out great. Sometimes it doesn't. Terrell was a teenager when he entered the system. Older kids are harder to place. Michael kept searching online. He found Terrell's high school records. The kid had been amazing. Not just at basketball, but at everything. Look at this, he showed Keisha. He was valedictorian of his class. Captain of the basketball team. In the National Honor Society. And now he's sleeping in his car, Keisha said quietly. Michael found more articles about Terrell's basketball team. They had an incredible season his senior year. One article had a quote from Terrell that made Michael's chest tight. I dedicate this season to finding my real family someday. Basketball taught me that families don't have to be blood relatives. They can be people who choose to stick together. He was looking for family even then, Michael said. Keisha was reading another article on her phone. Michael, look at this. It's about the state semi-finals game. The article had a picture of Terrell holding a trophy. But what caught Michael's attention was a quote at the end. Terrell Thompson hopes to play college basketball and study business. He dreams of opening basketball camps for foster children. Every kid deserves someone who believes in them, Thompson said. Those are almost the same words I said to him this morning, Michael realized. Maybe you two think alike, Keisha said with a small smile. Michael kept reading. The article mentioned that Terrell's parents had died when he was young, but there was one line that made him stop. Thompson says his mother used to tell him stories about famous relatives, but he was too young to remember the details when she died. Famous relatives, Michael read out loud. Probably just something his mom said to make him feel special, Keisha suggested. But something about that line bothered Michael. He searched for more information about Terrell's parents. Diana Thompson had been Diana Jordan before she got married. Michael's hands stopped moving on the keyboard. Keisha, what was Terrell's mother's maiden name? Let me check. Keisha called her contact again. After a few minutes she hung up. Diana Jordan. What? Michael stared at the screen. Jordan was a common last name. It didn't have to mean anything. But his grandmother had told him stories about family members they'd lost touch with over the years. Cousins who moved away, relatives who changed their names. I need to make some calls, Michael said. He called his mother Dolores Jordan. She answered on the third ring. Michael? Is everything okay? Mom, I need to ask you about family history. Do you remember anyone named Diana Jordan? There was a long pause. Diana Jordan? That name sounds familiar. Why do you ask? I met someone today. A young man whose mother was named Diana Jordan. She died 7 years ago in Chicago. Another pause, longer this time. Michael, your father had a niece named Diana. She was much younger than him. Maybe 20 years younger. We lost touch with that side of the family when your grandfather died. Michael's heart started beating faster. What happened to her? Last I heard, she married someone named Thompson and moved to Chicago, but that was years ago. Maybe 15 years. Mom, are you saying this Diana Jordan could be family? It's possible, honey. There were a lot of Jordan cousins we lost track of. Your father always felt bad about that. Michael hung up the phone. His hands were shaking. Keisha was staring at him. What's wrong? She asked. Terrell might be my cousin. What? His mother, Diana Jordan. My mum thinks she might have been my father's niece. Keisha's eyes got wide. Are you serious? I need to find out for sure. But if it's true, Michael couldn't finish the sentence. If it's true, then Terrell has been alone all these years when he had family. Real family. Michael thought about the business card Terrell had found. The newspaper clippings, the letter about wanting to belong somewhere. What if it wasn't just coincidence? What if somehow, deep down, Terrell had been looking for his family without even knowing it? We need more proof, Michael said. I'm going to hire a private investigator. That could take days, maybe weeks. Then we wait. But if Terrell is family, he's never going to be alone again. Keisha smiled. You really mean that, don't you? I do. Family takes care of family. They walked back to Terrell's room. The boy was still sleeping peacefully. He looked so young and vulnerable. Michael studied his face, looking for any resemblance to his own family. Maybe it was his imagination, but Terrell's nose looked like Michael's father's nose. His hands were long and thin, like all the Jordan men. I should tell him what we found out, Michael said. Are you sure? What if the investigator says we're wrong? Michael thought about that. Terrell had been disappointed so many times in his life. Getting his hopes up about having family, only to find out it wasn't true, might break his heart. We wait, Michael decided, until we know for sure. But as he watched Terrell sleep, Michael felt something growing in his chest. Hope. And something else. Something that felt like love. Whether they were related by blood or not, this boy was becoming important to him, and Michael was going to make sure Terrell never felt alone again. The next morning, Michael met with a private investigator named Sarah Chen. She had helped him before with business matters. Sarah was smart and careful. If anyone could find the truth about Terrell's family, it was. I need you to look into a young man's background, Michael told her in his office. Specifically his mother's family history. Sarah opened her notebook. What's the name? Diana Jordan Thompson. She died 7 years ago in a car accident. Her son is named Terrell Thompson. And you think she might be related to you? Maybe. My mother thinks Diana could have been my father's niece. Sarah wrote down all the information. I'll start with birth records and family trees. Give me 3 days. After Sarah left, Michael drove back to the hospital. Terrell was sitting up in bed, looking much better. His color was good, and he was eating lunch. Mr. Jordan, Terrell smiled when he saw him. I wasn't sure you'd come back. I told you I would. Michael sat down. How are you feeling? Much better. The doctor says I can leave this afternoon. Michael had been thinking about this. Where will you go? Terrell's face fell a little. Back to my car, I guess. At least until I figure things out. No, Michael said firmly. You're not sleeping in your car anymore. I can't take charity. It's not charity. It's what people do for each other. Terrell was quiet for a moment. I don't understand why you're being so nice to me. Michael thought about how to answer. He couldn't tell Terrell about the family investigation yet, but he could tell him the truth about caring. Sometimes you meet someone and you just know they matter. You're a good kid with big dreams. You remind me of myself at your age. You were never sleeping in a car. No, but I was scared sometimes. Worried I wasn't good enough. Worried I'd fail and disappoint people. Terrell nodded. I feel like that every day. The difference is, I had family supporting me. You've been doing this alone. That takes more courage than anything I ever did. A tear rolled down Terrell's cheek. I'm tired of being alone. You don't have to be anymore. That afternoon, Michael helped Terrell check out of the hospital. They went to get Terrell's car from where he'd been staying. It was an old Honda with rust spots and a cracked windshield, but it was clean inside. Terrell had made it as much like a home as possible. This is where you've been sleeping? Michael asked, looking at the folded blankets in the back seat. It's not so bad. I park behind the community center at night. Miss Keisha said it was okay. Michael felt his heart break a little more. This boy had been living like this for weeks, and still he worked hard every day and never gave up on his dreams. Get your things, Michael said. You're coming home with me. Mr. Jordan, I can't. Yes, you can. And you will. Terrell gathered his few belongings. Everything he owned fit in one backpack and a small duffel bag. Michael put the bags in his car while Terrell said goodbye to his Honda. We'll come back for it tomorrow, Michael promised. Michael's house was in a nice neighborhood with big trees and perfect lawns. Terrell stared out the window as they drove through the gates. This is where you live? He asked quietly. Yes, and for now it's where you lived. Inside the house, Terrell stood in the huge entrance hall looking overwhelmed. The ceiling was high and there were expensive paintings on the walls. It's so big, Terrell whispered. Too big for one person. Michael agreed. Come on, I'll show you around. They walked through the living room, the kitchen, and the library. Terrell was polite but quiet. Michael could tell he felt out of place. Here's your room. Michael opened a door to a guest bedroom. It had a queen-size bed, a desk, and its own bathroom. Terrell set his bags down slowly. This is bigger than some of the apartments I lived in. It's yours for as long as you need it. What if your family doesn't like me staying here? Michael realized Terrell didn't know much about his personal life. I live alone. My sons are grown up. Marcus is in college. Jeffrey has his own place. Oh. Terrell sat on the edge of the bed. Mr. Jordan, can I ask you something? Call me Michael. And yes. Why are you really doing this? People don't just take in strangers, especially not famous people. Michael sat in the chair by the window. He had been asking himself the same question. Why did he feel so connected to this boy he barely knew? When I read your letter, I saw myself. Not the successful part, but the part that was scared and alone sometimes. The part that just wanted to belong somewhere. But you had family. I did. And maybe that's why I can't stand seeing you without any." Terrell was quiet for a long time. "What if I disappoint you? What if you don't?" That evening they ordered pizza and sat in Michael's kitchen talking. Terrell told him more about his foster families. Some had been kind, but couldn't keep him long term. Others had just been collecting the monthly check from the state. "The Johnsons were the best," Terrell said. "Mrs. Johnson made me feel like a real son for 2 years. But Mr. Johnson got transferred to Florida for work. They wanted to take me, but the state said no because I wasn't legally adopted. That must have been hard." It was. But it taught me not to get too attached to places or people. Michael understood. Terrell had learned to protect his heart by not letting anyone get too close. "What about now?" Michael asked. "Are you going to let yourself get attached to this place?" Terrell looked around the beautiful kitchen. "I don't know. It doesn't feel real yet. Give it time." Later that night, Michael checked on Terrell before going to bed. The boy was already asleep, but he looked peaceful for the first time since Michael had met him. Michael's phone buzzed. It was a text from Sarah Chen, the private investigator. "Found some interesting information. Can we meet tomorrow morning?" Michael's heart raced. Maybe they were about to learn the truth about Terrell's family. Maybe this boy sleeping in his guest room really was his cousin. As he turned off the lights, Michael thought about how much his life had changed in just 2 days. A phone call from a stranger had led him to someone who might be family. Someone who definitely needed him. Whether the investigation proved they were related or not, Michael knew one thing for certain. Terrell was home now, and Michael was going to make sure he stayed that way. Michael met Sarah Chen at a coffee shop the next morning. She had a thick folder of papers and looked excited. Terrell was still sleeping when Michael left the house. The boy needed rest after everything he'd been through. "What did you find?" Michael asked as Sarah sat down. "More than I expected," she said, opening the folder. "Diana Jordan was definitely your father's niece. I found birth certificates and family records going back 3 generations. Michael's hands started shaking. "Are you sure? Positive? Look at this family tree I put together." Sarah spread out papers showing how the families connected. Diana's father was Michael's grandfather's brother. That made Diana and Michael's father first cousins, which made Diana and Michael's second cousin. "That means Terrell and I are second cousins too," Michael said quietly. "Yes, but there's more." Sarah pulled out another document. "I found records showing Diana tried to contact your family when Terrell was born." "What do you mean?" "She sent a birth announcement to your parents' address. But your family had moved to a new house by then." The letter was returned to sender. Michael stared at the returned envelope Sarah had somehow tracked down. His name was written on it in Diana's handwriting, along with his parents' old address. "She wanted us to know about Terrell," he said. "It looks like it. And there's something else. When Diana's parents died in 2010, she tried again to reach out to your family. She called your mother's old phone number, but it had been disconnected." Michael felt sick. "She was trying to find us. For years, it seems. I think she wanted Terrell to know his extended family." Sarah showed him more documents. Diana had kept detailed family records. She had newspaper clippings about Michael's basketball career. She had saved photos of Jordan family reunions from when she was young. She never forgot she was a Jordan, Sarah explained. And she made sure Terrell knew it too. Did Terrell know about the family connection? "I don't think he understood it completely. But look at this." Sarah handed him a copy of a school essay Terrell had written in 8th grade. The assignment was to write about family history. "My mom used to tell me stories about our family before she died. She said we were related to someone famous, but I was too young to remember who. She said the Jordan name meant something special, that Jordans never give up and always help each other. I don't know if the stories were true, but they make me feel less alone. Michael had to stop reading. His throat felt tight. He's been carrying our family story with him this whole time. Without knowing it was real, Sarah agreed. Michael looked through more papers. There were photos of Diana as a little girl at Jordan family gatherings. She was in pictures with Michael's father and grandfather. She belonged to the family, but somehow they'd all lost touch. How did this happen? Michael asked. How did we lose track of each other? Families drift apart sometimes. People move, phone numbers change. It's more common than you think. But Michael felt terrible. While he was living his successful life, his cousin Diana was struggling alone. She tried to reach out when Terrell was born, and the family wasn't there for her. When Diana and her husband died in that car accident, Terrell had no one to call. No one knew he was a Jordan. What are you going to do now? Sarah asked. Michael gathered up the papers. I'm going to tell him the truth. When Michael got home, Terrell was in the kitchen making breakfast. He had found eggs and bread and was cooking for both of them. Good morning, Terrell said with a smile. I hope it's okay that I made breakfast. I wanted to help out somehow. That's very thoughtful, Michael said. But his mind was racing. How do you tell someone their whole life could have been different if the family had just stayed in touch? They ate breakfast together. Terrell talked about wanting to look for a job so he could pay Michael back for helping him. He had no idea that everything was about to change. Terrell, Michael said finally, I need to tell you something important. The boy looked up from his eggs. Are you kicking me out? I knew this was too good to be true. No, nothing like that. Sit down. Michael spread out some of the documents Sarah had given him. Terrell looked confused. What are these? Family records, birth certificates, photos. Michael took a deep breath. Terrell, your mother Diana was my cousin. Terrell stared at him. What? We're family. Second cousins. Your mother was my father's niece. That's not possible. Michael showed him the family tree and the photos. Look, this is your mother when she was little. She's in pictures with my father and grandfather at family reunions. Terrell picked up one of the photos with shaking hands. That's really my mom? Yes. And this is a letter she tried to send to my family when you were born. She wanted us to know about you. Michael explained everything Sarah had found. How Diana had tried to reach out. How the family had lost touch over the years. How Terrell had been alone all these years when he had relatives who would have loved him. Terrell was crying now. You mean I had family this whole time? Yes. And I'm sorry we didn't know. I'm sorry you had to go through everything alone. So when I found your business card, when I wrote that letter about wanting to belong somewhere, you were looking for your real family without knowing it. Terrell broke down completely. Years of loneliness and pain came pouring out. Michael moved his chair closer and put his arm around the boy's shoulders. I thought I was completely alone in the world, Terrell sobbed. You were never alone. You just didn't know where to find us. But I'm here now, Michael said firmly, and you're not going anywhere. You're home. Terrell looked up at him with tears streaming down his face. Does this mean I'm really a Jordan? You've always been a Jordan. Now you just know it. They spent the rest of the morning looking through family photos and documents. Michael called his mother and told her the news. She cried on the phone and wanted to meet Terrell right away. We have a lot of family for you to meet, Michael told Terrell. Aunts and uncles and cousins. People who are going to love you just because you're family. I don't know how to be part of a family, Terrell admitted. I've been alone for so long. You'll learn. We'll all learn together. That afternoon, Michael took Terrell to the store to buy new clothes and school supplies. They were going to get him enrolled in college classes and make sure he had everything he needed to succeed. What do I call you now? Terrell asked as they drove. Now that we're cousins, whatever feels right to you. Terrell thought about it. Can I still call you Michael? Family or not, you're the first person who ever really believed in me. I'd be honored. That night Terrell called Keisha to tell her the news. She was amazed and happy and said she'd known somehow that they belonged together. Families find each other, she told him, even when it seems impossible. As Terrell got ready for bed in his new room, he looked at the family photos Michael had given him. For the first time in 7 years, he felt like he truly belonged somewhere. Thank you, he whispered to the photo of his mother. Thank you for never letting me forget I was a Jordan. 3 weeks passed since Terrell learned he was a Jordan. Living with Michael felt like a dream that might end at any moment. Every morning, Terrell woke up, expecting to find himself back in his car. But every morning, he was still in the big, comfortable bed in Michael's house. The first week had been the hardest. Terrell jumped every time Michael's phone rang, thinking it might be someone telling Michael to send him away. He kept his clothes packed in his duffel bag just in case. You don't have to keep everything in that bag, Michael told him one morning. The dresser is empty, use it. What if I have to leave quickly? Terrell asked. You're not going anywhere, this is your home now. But Terrell had learned not to trust good things. They usually ended. Michael was patient. He never pushed Terrell to talk when he got quiet. He never asked why Terrell sometimes cried at dinner for no reason. He just let Terrell heal at his own pace. They started each day with breakfast together. Then Michael would drive Terrell to the community center where he was taking classes to prepare for his GED test. Keisha had helped him sign up for the program. How's he doing? She asked Michael one afternoon while Terrell was in class. Better, but he's still scared I'm going to change my mind about him. That makes sense. Every family he's ever had has disappeared. I'm not disappearing, Michael said firmly. He doesn't know that yet. Give him time. After classes, Terrell would practice basketball at the community center gym. Michael started joining him some afternoons. At first, Terrell was nervous playing in front of his famous cousin, but slowly, he relaxed. Your jump shot needs work, Michael told him one day. I know. I've been trying to fix it. Here, let me show you. Michael spent an hour working with Terrell on his shooting form. The boy was a fast learner and had natural talent. But more than that, he had heart. He never gave up, even when shots weren't falling. You remind me of myself at your age, Michael said as they walked off the court. Really? Really? You have that fire inside, that need to prove yourself. That night at dinner, Terrell was quieter than usual. Michael could tell something was bothering him. What's on your mind? Michael asked. I don't want to sound ungrateful, Terrell said carefully, but I keep waiting for the catch. What catch? There's always a catch. Foster families take you in because they get money from the state, or because they want free babysitting for their real kids. What do you get out of helping me? Michael put down his fork. This was the conversation he'd been expecting. I get to know my cousin. I get to help someone who reminds me why I fell in love with basketball in the first place. I get to see someone achieve their dreams. But you're Michael Jordan. You could help anybody. Why me? Because you're family. And because you never gave up, even when you had every reason to. Terrell was quiet for a long moment. What if I'm not worth all this trouble? You are. But you don't have to take my word for it. Time will prove it. The next week, Michael introduced Terrell to some extended family. His mother, Dolores, drove up from North Carolina to meet her new grandson. She brought photo albums and stories about Terrell's mother when she was young. Diana was such a sweet child, Dolores told Terrell as they looked through pictures. She always talked about wanting to be a nurse and help people. She was a good nurse, Terrell said. Even when she was sick, she still went to work to take care of her patients. That sounds like Diana. She always put others first. Some family members were more welcoming than others. Michael's brother called to express concerns about Terrell coming out of nowhere and whether Michael was being too trusting. Terrell overheard part of that phone conversation. That night, he packed his duffel bag again. "Where are you going?" Michael asked, finding Terrell with his bag by the front door. "Maybe your brother is right. Maybe I am taking advantage of you. Is that what you think?" "I don't know what to think. I've never had a real family before." Michael sat down on the stairs next to Terrell. "My brother means well, but he doesn't know you. Some people in our family will need time to accept you. That's their problem, not yours. But what if they turn you against me?" "That's not going to happen. You want to know why?" Terrell nodded. "Because I've seen who you are. I've seen you work 3 hours every morning on your shooting even though your form was broken. I've seen you get straight A's while sleeping in a car. I've seen you be grateful for every small kindness. You don't have to prove anything to anyone anymore." Terrell started crying. "I'm just so tired of fighting for everything." "Then stop fighting. You're home now. You're safe. You're loved. Even if I'm not perfect, especially then." That weekend, they had their first real argument. Michael wanted to buy Terrell new basketball shoes, but Terrell refused. "I can't keep taking things from you," Terrell said. "They're just shoes." "No, they're not. They're expensive shoes that I didn't earn." "You've earned everything I've given you and more." "By doing what?" "I haven't done anything special." Michael got frustrated. "You survived. You kept going when everything was stacked against you. You maintained your character when you had every excuse to give up. Do you know how rare that is?" "I just did what I had to do." "No, you did what champions do. You found a way to win even when the game was rigged against you." They stared at each other for a moment. Then Terrell started laughing. "What's funny?" Michael asked. "We're fighting about basketball shoes. I never thought I'd have that problem." Michael started laughing too. "When you put it that way, it is pretty ridiculous." "Can we compromise?" Terrell asked. "What do you have in mind?" "You buy me the shoes, but I work it off. I'll do chores around the house or help with your basketball camps." "Deal." That afternoon, they played one-on-one basketball in Michael's driveway. Terrell had improved dramatically over the past few weeks. His shot was falling and his confidence was growing. Near the end of their game, Terrell made a move that reminded Michael exactly of himself at that age. A quick first step. A fadeaway jumper, nothing but net. "Game point," Terrell announced with a grin. "Don't get cocky," Michael warned, but he was smiling. Terrell scored the winning basket with a shot that would have made any coach proud. As the ball swished through the net, he turned to Michael with pure joy on his face. "I beat Michael Jordan," he shouted. "Once," Michael laughed. "Don't let it go to your head." But watching Terrell celebrate, Michael felt something he hadn't expected. Pride. The same pride he'd felt watching his own sons succeed. That night, as they cleaned up after dinner, Terrell said something that surprised Michael. "This feels like family." "What do you mean?" "The arguing, the laughing, the working things out together. I always thought family meant never having problems. But this feels more real. Families argue sometimes. That's how you know people care enough to fight for the relationship. I've never had anyone care enough to fight for me before." "Well, you do now." As they finished cleaning the kitchen, Michael realized something had shifted between them. Terrell wasn't walking on eggshells anymore. He was arguing, laughing, and being himself. He was acting like someone who finally felt safe enough to belong. For the first time since Keisha's phone call, Michael felt like they were truly building something together. Not just a living arrangement, but a real family relationship. And it felt perfect. 3 months after moving in with Michael, Terrell had gained 15 pounds and looked healthier than ever. His GED classes were going well, and his basketball skills were improving every day. But success brought new problems that neither of them had expected. The extended Jordan family was having mixed reactions to Terrell joining them. Some relatives welcomed him with open arms. Others questioned whether he was really family or just someone taking advantage of Michael's kindness. Michael's uncle called one evening while Terrell was doing homework at the kitchen table. Michael thought Terrell was wearing headphones, but the boy could hear every word. "Mike, I'm just saying you need to be careful," his uncle said loudly through the phone. "This kid comes out of nowhere claiming to be Diana's son. How do you know he's telling the truth?" "We have DNA tests and birth certificates," Michael replied patiently. "Those can be faked. And even if he is family, that doesn't mean you have to take care of him. He's not your responsibility. He's 19 years old with no one else in the world." "Of course he's my responsibility. You're being too trusting, Mike. What if he's just using you to get money or fame?" Terrell's hands stopped moving on his homework. His heart started beating fast. Maybe Michael's family was right. Maybe he was taking advantage. "I know what kind of person he is," Michael said firmly, "and this conversation is over." But the damage was done. That night, Terrell barely ate dinner. Michael noticed but didn't say anything right away. The next morning, Terrell was quiet during breakfast. Michael could tell something was wrong. "Want to talk about what's bothering you?" Michael asked. "I heard your uncle on the phone last night." Michael's heart sank. "Terrell, maybe he's right. Maybe I am taking advantage of you." "You're not." "But what if I am, and I don't even know it? What if I'm so desperate for a family that I'm making myself believe we're really related?" Michael put down his coffee cup. "Is that what you think?" "I don't know what to think anymore. Your family thinks I'm lying about being a Jordan. Maybe I should take another DNA test to prove it." "We already proved it." "You don't need to prove anything to anyone." But Terrell couldn't shake the feeling that he didn't belong. He started pulling away from Michael. He stopped asking for help with homework. He ate dinner quickly and went to his room early. Michael noticed the change but wasn't sure how to fix it. He tried giving Terrell space, hoping the boy would come to him when he was ready to talk. The breaking point came a week later. Terrell was at the community center practicing basketball when he overheard two teenagers talking. "That's the kid who's living with Michael Jordan," one said. "Lucky," the other replied. "I wish I could pretend to be related to someone famous. My dad says he's probably lying about being family. Says people will do anything for money." Terrell felt like he'd been punched in the stomach. He left the gym immediately and walked home in the rain. By the time he got to Michael's house, he was soaked and crying. Michael found him packing his clothes into his old duffel bag. "What are you doing?" Michael asked. "I can't stay here anymore." "Why not?" "Because everyone thinks I'm a liar. Everyone thinks I'm using you." "Who is everyone?" "Your uncle. Those kids at the community center. Probably half your family." Michael sat down on the bed next to the duffel bag. "And what do you think?" "I think maybe they're right. Maybe I want a family so bad that I'm fooling myself." "Terrell, look at me." The boy raised his eyes. They were red from crying. "Do you think you're lying about being Diana's son?" "No." "You think you're lying about being a Jordan?" "No, but..." "Then why does it matter what other people think?" "Because I don't want to cause problems in your family." Michael was quiet for a moment. "Can I tell you something about families?" Terrell nodded. "Every family has people with opinions. Some of those opinions are smart, some are not. But what matters is what the people who really know you think. And what do you think?" "I think you're the most honest person I've ever met. I think you work harder than anyone I know. I think you're exactly the kind of person any family would be lucky to have. But what if your uncle is right? What if I'm just fooling myself about belonging here? Then we're both fooling ourselves. Because I feel like you belong here too." Terrell stopped packing. "Really? Really? You want to know how I know?" "How?" "Because when you're not here, the house feels too quiet. When you're worried, I'm worried. When you succeed at something, I feel proud. That's what family feels like. Terrell started crying again, but this time they weren't sad tears. I've never had anyone feel proud of me before, he whispered. Well, you do now. And that's not going to change no matter what anyone else says. They talked for another hour about family expectations and outside opinions. Michael explained that some people would always question Terrell's place in the family, but that didn't make their doubts true. The people who matter know who you are, Michael said. My mom loves you. Keisha believes in you. I believe in you. That's enough. What about your uncle? My uncle will come around when he gets to know you. And if he doesn't, that's his loss. That weekend, Michael took Terrell to meet his brother Larry. Michael had called ahead to have a serious conversation about giving Terrell a chance. Larry was polite but distant at first. He asked Terrell questions about school and basketball, but as the afternoon went on, something changed. Terrell helped Larry fix a broken fence in his backyard. The boy worked hard without complaining and showed respect for Larry's tools and property. By the end of the day, Larry was teaching Terrell how to use different power tools. He's a good kid, Larry told Michael quietly. I was wrong to judge him without knowing him. He is a good kid. And he really does look like Dad when he concentrates. Same expression. That evening, Terrell called Keisha to tell her about the day. Sounds like you're really becoming part of the family, she said. I'm starting to believe it, Terrell replied. It's scary, but good scary. What do you mean? Before I was scared of being alone forever. Now I'm scared of losing what I have. That's normal. Good things are worth being scared about. The next week, Terrell took his GED test and passed with high scores. Michael was so proud he took Terrell out for a celebration dinner at a fancy restaurant. What's next? Michael asked as they ate dessert. College applications, Terrell said with a smile. I want to study education and business. Maybe open basketball camps for foster kids someday. Like the essay you wrote in 8th grade. You remember that? I remember everything about your story. It's part of our family history now. As they drove home that night, Terrell looked out the window at the city lights. 6 months ago, he had been sleeping in his car with no hope for the future. Now he had a family, a home, and real dreams that felt possible. Michael? He said quietly. Yeah? Thank you for not giving up on me when I was ready to give up on myself. Thank you for letting me be your family. Even when I was scared and difficult. Especially then, that's when family matters most. 2 weeks after Terrell passed his GED, their quiet life together suddenly changed. A reporter had been asking questions around the community center. Someone had told him about the young man living with Michael Jordan. The story broke on a Tuesday morning. Michael's phone started ringing at 6 in the morning. The headline on the sports website read, Michael Jordan's secret cousin found living in... Michael, have you seen the news? It was Michael's publicist calling. Michael looked at his phone and saw dozens of missed calls. His email was full of interview requests. Outside his house, he could see news vans parking on the street. We need to talk about how to handle this, his publicist continued. Terrell came downstairs for breakfast and saw Michael on the phone looking stressed. What's wrong? Terrell asked. Michael hung up and showed him the news story on his laptop. Terrell's face went white as he read the headline. Oh no, Terrell whispered. This is exactly what I was afraid of. The article had most of the facts right, but it made their story sound like a fairy tale. It talked about Michael rescuing Terrell and mentioned the family connection. But it also had quotes from unnamed sources questioning whether Terrell was really family. Now everyone's going to think I'm using you, Terrell said, his voice shaky. We knew this might happen eventually, Michael said calmly. We just need to decide how to handle it. By noon, there were 12 news vans outside the house. Reporters were trying to interview neighbors. Someone had found photos of Terrell from his high school basketball team and posted them online. Terrell refused to leave his room. He was overwhelmed by all the attention and scared of what people would say about him. Keisha came over to help them figure out what to do. She found Terrell sitting on his bed with his head in his hands. "This is a nightmare," he told her. "Everyone's going to think I'm a fake." "Why do you care what strangers think?" Keisha asked. "Because now everyone knows about me. They're going to judge everything I do." "Terrell, you didn't do anything wrong. You're not responsible for other people's opinions." But Terrell couldn't shake his fear. He had grown up being judged by social workers, foster families, and teachers who didn't know his story. Now millions of people were going to have opinions about his life. Michael came upstairs with a sandwich for Terrell. "You need to eat something." "I can't. My stomach hurts. The reporters will get bored and leave if we don't give them anything to talk about." "But what if they don't? What if this never goes away?" Michael sat down next to him. "Then we deal with it together. But hiding in your room isn't going to make it better." Keisha had an idea. "What if you controlled the story instead of letting other people tell it?" "What do you mean?" Michael asked. "Do one big interview together. Tell your story the way it really happened. Then people can't make up their own version." Terrell looked scared. "I don't know how to talk to reporters." "You just tell the truth," Keisha said. "The same way you told it to us." Michael thought about it. "We could do it with someone we trust. Someone who will be fair." They spent the rest of the day talking about whether to do an interview. Terrell was nervous about the attention, but he also didn't want people making up lies about them. What if they ask hard questions? Terrell worried. Like what? Like why I was sleeping in my car, or why my foster families didn't keep me. "Those aren't your fault," Michael said firmly, "and anyone who judges you for them doesn't understand what you've been through." That evening they decided to do one interview with a reporter Michael had worked with before, someone who would be respectful and fair. The interview was scheduled for the next week. In the meantime, they had to deal with reporters camping outside their house and people trying to get photos of Terrell. Michael hired security to keep the reporters away from their property, but Terrell still felt trapped. He couldn't go to the community center or anywhere else without being followed. "This is crazy," he said one morning after seeing photographers hiding in bushes across the street. "It will calm down," Michael promised. "People get excited about new stories, but then they move on to something else." But some of the online comments about their story were harsh. People questioned whether Terrell was really family. Others said he was just lucky to find a rich relative. Some comments were even worse. Terrell made the mistake of reading them one afternoon. Michael found him crying at his computer. "Why are people so mean?" Terrell asked. "They don't even know me." "Because it's easy to judge from a distance," Michael said, closing the laptop. "These people would never say these things to your face." "But what if they're right? What if I am just lucky?" Luck didn't make you work 3 hours every morning on your basketball shot. Luck didn't get you straight A's while you were homeless. Luck didn't keep you from giving up when everything was against you. "I just want this to go away." "I know, but maybe some good can come from it too." "Like what?" "Like other kids in foster care seeing your story and knowing they're not alone. Like people understanding that family isn't just about blood relations." The day before the interview, Terrell was so nervous he could barely eat. Keisha came over to help him prepare for the question. "Just remember," she told him, "you're not trying to convince anyone of anything. You're just sharing your story. What if I say something wrong?" There's no wrong answer when you're telling the truth. Michael had been thinking about the interview too. He wanted to make sure people understood what kind of person Terrell really was. "I'm going to tell them about your character," he said. "About how you never asked me for anything. About how you wanted to pay me back for the basketball shoes. That's embarrassing. That's admirable. Most people would have just taken everything they could get." The night before the interview, They sat on the porch talking about what had brought them together. "Do you ever think about what would have happened if Keisha hadn't called me?" Michael asked. "I try not to. It's too scary. I think about it sometimes. I think you would have found a way to succeed anyway. You're too strong to give up. I was pretty close to giving up that day. But you didn't. That's what matters." The next morning, the TV crew arrived to set up for the interview. Terrell was quiet during breakfast, but he seemed more determined than scared. "You ready for this?" Michael asked as they waited for the cameras to start rolling. "No, but I'm ready to tell our story the right way." The interview lasted 2 hours. Terrell talked about his parents, his time in foster care, and meeting Michael. He was honest about the hard parts, but also hopeful about the future. Michael talked about finding family he didn't know he had, and how proud he was of Terrell's strength and character. When it was over, Terrell felt exhausted but relieved. "How do you think it went?" he asked Keisha. "I think people are going to see who you really are," she said with a smile. "And if they don't, then that's their problem, not yours." 1 year after Keisha's phone call that changed everything, Terrell was sitting in the guidance counselor's office at Chicago Community College. On the desk in front of him were acceptance letters from 5 different universities. "You have some great choices here," Mrs. Patterson said with a smile, "full scholarships to 3 of them." Terrell looked at the letters but felt overwhelmed instead of excited. A year ago he would have been thrilled to get into any college. Now he had to choose between schools that all wanted him. "What's holding you back?" Mrs. Patterson asked, noticing his hesitation. "I'm not sure I'm ready," Terrell admitted. "What if I can't handle the pressure? What if people only know me as Michael Jordan's cousin?" Mrs. Patterson had been working with students for 20 years. She could see that Terrell's fears were deeper than just college anxiety. "Tell me what you really want to do with your life," she said. Terrell thought about it. "I want to work with kids like me, kids in foster care who need someone to believe in them. But I also want to keep playing basketball. And which schools would let you do both?" Terrell pointed to 2 of the letters. "These ones have good education programs and basketball teams that might give me a chance to play. But they're far from Chicago, far from Michael and Keisha. I've never lived away from family before." Mrs. Patterson smiled. "You mean you've never lived away from family since you found them? Right. What if I fail and embarrass them? What if I can't make it on my own?" That evening, Terrell talked to Michael about his college fears over dinner. "I might not make the basketball team," Terrell said. "I'm good, but I'm not great. These schools have players who've been training with professional coaches their whole lives." "And you trained yourself in a community center gym," Michael replied. "That shows more heart than any expensive coach." "But what if heart isn't enough?" Michael put down his fork. "Can I tell you something about basketball?" "Sure. I got cut from my high school varsity team my sophomore year." Terrell's eyes went wide. "Really? Really?" I was devastated. I thought my dreams were over. "What did you do?" "I worked harder than ever. I used the disappointment as fuel. By senior year, I was the best player on the team." "So you think I should try out even if I might not make it?" "I think you should try out because you might not make it. The possibility of failure is what makes success mean something." Terrell was quiet for a moment. "What if college is too hard? I've never lived in a dorm or eaten in a cafeteria. I don't know how to be around kids who grew up with money." "You'll figure it out. You always do." "But what if I don't fit in?" Michael leaned forward. "Terrell, you've survived things most of these kids can't imagine. You have strength they'll never understand. Don't let them intimidate you." The next week, Terrell visited 2 of the colleges that had offered him scholarships. The first one was huge and intimidating. The campus was beautiful, but Terrell felt lost walking around. The second college was smaller. The education department head, Dr. Williams, spent 2 hours showing Terrell around and talking about their program. We have a partnership with local foster care agencies, Dr. Williams explained. Students can work directly with kids in the system while they're learning. That sounds perfect, Terrell said. We also have a mentorship program where college students work with younger foster kids. Someone with your background would be incredibly valuable. Terrell felt excited for the first time since getting the acceptance letters. This wasn't just about getting a degree. It was about using his experiences to help others. The basketball coach at the second school was honest with Terrell. You'd be a walk-on, Coach Martinez said. No guarantees you'd make the team, but I've watched your game film. You have something most players don't. What's that? You play like every possession matters. Like you're grateful to be on the court. That's rare. When Terrell got back to Chicago, he made his decision. He chose the smaller school with the strong education program. It felt right. I'm proud of you, Michael said when Terrell told him. You chose the place where you can make the biggest difference. I'm scared though, Terrell admitted. Good. Being scared means it matters to you. 3 weeks before leaving for college, Terrell got news that surprised him. The local TV station wanted to do a follow-up story about his journey from homelessness to college. Do I have to do it? He asked Michael. No. But think about why they want to tell your story. To get ratings? Maybe. But also to show other kids that anything is possible. Terrell agreed to do the interview. This time, he wasn't as nervous. He had learned that sharing his story might help someone else who felt hopeless. During the interview, the reporter asked him what advice he would give to kids in foster care. Don't give up on finding your family, Terrell said. It might not look like what you expect, but there are people out there who will love you for who you are. What do you mean? Family isn't just about blood. It's about people who choose to stick with you through good times and bad times. Sometimes your real family is people you haven't met yet. The reporter asked about his basketball dreams. I might make the team, or I might not, Terrell said honestly. But either way, I'll keep playing because I love it. Success isn't just about making it to the pros. What is success to you? Using what I've learned to help other kids. Opening basketball camps for foster children. Showing them that someone believes in them. After the interview, Keisha hugged Terrell tightly. You've grown up so much this year, she said. I had good teachers. The night before leaving for college, Terrell couldn't sleep. He walked downstairs and found Michael sitting on the porch looking at the stars. Nervous? Michael asked. Terrified, Terrell replied, sitting down next to him. You know what I realized this year? What? I thought I was helping you, but you were helping me too. How? You reminded me why I fell in love with basketball in the first place. Not for fame or money, but for the pure joy of playing. You reminded me what family really means. They sat quietly for a while, both thinking about how much their lives had changed. Michael? Terrell said finally. Yeah, thank you for answering Keisha's phone call. Thank you for being worth calling about. The next morning, they packed Terrell's things into Michael's car. As they drove toward the college, Terrell felt a mix of excitement and sadness. You'll come visit, right? He asked. Try to keep me away, Michael said with a smile. And you'll call if you need anything? Terrell, you're going to college, not disappearing. We're still family. As they pulled onto campus, Terrell saw his new dorm building. Students were moving in with their parents carrying boxes and saying tearful goodbyes. I guess this is it, Terrell said. This is just the beginning, Michael corrected him. They spent the afternoon setting up Terrell's dorm room. Michael met Terrell's roommate, a quiet kid from Iowa who seemed nice. When it was time to say goodbye, both of them had tears in their eyes. Make us proud, Michael said, hugging him tightly. I will. I promise. As Michael drove away, Terrell stood in front of his dorm and looked around. A year ago, he had been sleeping in his car with no hope for the future. Now he was starting college with a full scholarship and a family who loved him. He thought about all the kids still in foster care, still sleeping in cars, still believing they were alone in the world. Someday he would find them. Someday he would be the one making phone calls to change lives. But first, he had to become the person who could make those calls. 2 years later, Terrell was graduating from college with highest honors. He had made the basketball team as a walk-on and become team captain his senior year. More importantly, he had started a mentorship program that paired college students with foster children. Michael and Keisha sat in the graduation ceremony, feeling incredibly proud. Terrell had grown into exactly the kind of man they always knew he could become. "Look at him up there," Keisha whispered, as Terrell gave the student speaker address. "He's changed so many lives." "He's about to change more," Michael replied, thinking about Terrell's plans after graduation. That evening, they had a celebration dinner at Michael's house. Terrell's girlfriend Sarah was there, along with several college friends who had become like family to him. The house was full of laughter and stories about college adventures. After everyone else went home, Michael, Keisha, and Terrell sat on the porch like they had so many times before. "I have something to tell you both," Keisha said quietly. "Something I should have said a long time ago." Michael and Terrell looked at her with curiosity. Keisha seemed nervous, which was unusual for her. "It's about the day I called you, Michael, about Terrell collapsing." "What about it?" Michael asked. Keisha took a deep breath. "I didn't find your business card in Terrell's backpack by accident." Both men stared at her. "What do you mean?" Terrell asked. "I put it there." The words hung in the air for a moment. Michael and Terrell looked at each other, then back at Keisha. "You put it there?" Michael said slowly. "Yes, and I need to explain why." Keisha's hands were shaking as she continued. "I had been researching Terrell's family background for months. It was part of a program at the community center where we help foster kids find relatives." "You knew we were related?" Terrell asked, his voice barely a whisper. "I discovered the Jordan family connection 3 months before you collapsed. I found the same records that private investigator found later." Michael felt like the world was spinning. "So when you called me that day, I knew exactly who Terrell was. I knew he was your cousin." Terrell stood up and started pacing. "You mean this whole time you knew we were family?" "Yes. But let me explain what happened." Keisha told them how she had spent weeks trying to figure out how to tell Terrell about his family connection. She was planning to approach it slowly, help him reach out to the Jordan family properly. But then that morning, Terrell collapsed from not eating. I panicked. I knew he was too proud to accept help from strangers, but maybe he would accept it from family. "So you lied to get me there," Michael said. It wasn't angry, just understanding. "I gambled. I put your business card in his backpack and called you, hoping that once you met him, you would see what I saw." "What did you see?" Terrell asked, still pacing. "A good kid who was giving up because he thought he was completely alone in the world. Someone who just needed to know that somebody cared." Terrell stopped walking and sat back down. "You mean when I found that business card, when I thought it was a sign?" "It was a sign, just not the kind you thought." Michael was quiet for a long time, processing what Keisha had told them. "You took a huge risk. I could have been angry. I could have refused to help." "I know, but I watched Terrell every day for months, practicing basketball alone, getting thinner, working so hard but having no support. I couldn't watch him give up when I knew he had family out there." "But why didn't you just tell me the truth from the beginning?" Terrell asked. "Because you had been disappointed so many times. What if I was wrong about the family connection? What if Michael didn't want to get involved? I thought it was better to let you meet as strangers first." Michael stood up and walked to the porch railing. He looked out at his yard where he and Terrell had played so many games of basketball. "Are you angry?" Keisha asked quietly. Michael turned around with a slight smile. "I should be, You manipulated both of us. I know, I'm sorry. But you know what, I'm not angry. You're not? Terrell asked. No. Because it worked. Because you cared enough about a kid you barely knew to take that risk. Terrell was still processing everything. So when I collapsed that day, you had already planned to bring us together? Not like that. I was going to introduce you properly, but when you fainted from hunger, I knew I had to act fast. And you bet on Michael's heart being bigger than his anger. Terrell remembered her saying that first day. I did. And I was right. Michael sat back down. You know what the crazy part is? Even if we hadn't been related, I think I would have helped him anyway. Really? Terrell asked. Really? Your letter, your determination, your character, family or not, you were someone worth caring about. Keisha started crying. I felt guilty about the deception for 2 years. Every time you thanked me for calling Michael, I wanted to tell you the truth. Why didn't you? Terrell asked. Because by then, you two had built something real. The fact that I had orchestrated the meeting didn't matter anymore. You had become genuine family. Terrell was quiet for a long time. Then he started laughing. What's funny? Michael asked. I spent months wondering how I got so lucky to find that business card. I thought it was fate or destiny or something. It was, Keisha said. Just not the way you thought. You're right. If you hadn't done what you did, I might have given up completely. I was so close to quitting. Michael looked at Keisha with new respect. You saved his life that day, not just by calling the ambulance, but by making sure he knew he wasn't alone. I just connected two people who belonged together. They sat in comfortable silence for a while, each thinking about how different their lives might have been if Keisha hadn't taken that risk. I have one more question, Terrell said finally. What's that? Keisha asked. Do you regret lying to us? Keisha thought about it carefully. I regret the deception, but I don't regret the outcome. Look what happened because of that phone call. What happened? Michael asked. Terrell found his family. You found a son you didn't know you needed. I found the best friends of my life, and dozens of other foster kids have been helped through the programs Terrell started. So you think the ends justified the means? Terrell asked. In this case, yes. But I hope I never have to make that choice again. Michael reached over and squeezed Keisha's hand. Thank you for having the courage to lie to me, and thank you for forgiving me for it. Terrell moved his chair closer to both of them. You know what I think? What? They both asked. I think families come together in all kinds of ways. Some are born together, some find each other by accident, and some are brought together by people who care enough to take risks. Which kind are we? Keisha asked. All three, Terrell said with a smile. We're family because of blood, because of choice, and because someone loved us enough to bring us together. As the evening ended, they made plans for Terrell's new job, working with foster care agencies. He would be traveling around the country, setting up mentorship programs and helping kids find their families. The first program I want to start is in honor of you, Terrell told Keisha. What do you mean? Teaching people how to research family histories for foster kids, how to be brave enough to make the hard phone calls, how to connect people who belong together. Keisha started crying again. That's the most beautiful thing anyone has ever said to me. You taught me that sometimes love means taking risks for other people. Now I want to teach other people to do the same thing. As they said goodnight, Michael realized that learning the truth about Keisha's deception had somehow made their family bond even stronger. They had been brought together by a beautiful lie that became a beautiful truth. And now Terrell was ready to make his own phone calls to change other lives. 5 years after that life-changing phone call, Terrell Jordan stood in his office looking at a wall covered with thank you letters. Each letter was from a foster child who had found their family through his program. The organization was called the Jordan Foundation, connecting hearts and families. His assistant knocked on the door. "Terrell, there's a case I think you should see personally." Terrell looked up from the report he was reading. "What's the situation?" "A 12-year-old girl named Maya collapsed at school yesterday from not eating. She's been in foster care for 3 years. No known relatives." Terrell's heart jumped. The story sounded familiar. "What else do you know?" "She was found with this in her backpack." His assistant handed him a worn photograph. Terrell looked at the picture. It showed a young Maya with a man in military uniform. On the back someone had written Maya and Uncle David. "Uncle David," Terrell repeated. "Did anyone try to find him?" "The social worker says they looked but couldn't find anyone. But Maya keeps saying she has family somewhere. She just doesn't remember their last name." Terrell smiled. This was exactly the kind of case he lived for. Set up a meeting with Maya and start researching military records for anyone named David who might be connected to her. 2 hours later, Terrell sat across from Maya in a small conference room at the Children's Hospital. She was tiny for 12 years old, with big brown eyes that reminded him of himself at that age. "Hi Maya, I'm Terrell. I work with kids who are looking for their families." Maya looked at him suspiciously. "Are you from the state?" "No, I'm from an organization that helps people find their relatives." "I heard you have an Uncle David." Maya's face lit up for the first time. "You know Uncle David?" "Not yet. But I'm going to help you find him. Can you tell me everything you remember about him?" For the next hour, Maya told Terrell about her uncle. He was her father's younger brother. He had been in the army. He used to take her to get ice cream every Sunday before her parents died. "Why didn't he take care of you when your parents died?" Terrell asked gently. "He was deployed somewhere far away. The social worker said they couldn't find him, but I know he would come get me if he knew where I was." Terrell's research team worked all night. By morning, they had found 3 possible matches for Uncle David. The most promising was Staff Sergeant David Martinez, who had been stationed overseas for the past 4 years. He just returned to the United States last month, Terrell's researcher reported. He's been trying to locate his niece through military family services, but the paperwork got lost in the system. Terrell's hands started shaking. This was it. This was Maya's family. He picked up his phone and dialed the number his team had found. "Hello?" a man's voice answered. "Is this David Martinez?" "Yes. Who is this?" "My name is Terrell Jordan. I'm calling about your niece, Maya." There was a long silence. Then Terrell heard the man start crying. "Maya? Is she okay? I've been looking for her for 3 years. The army moved me around so much, and when I got back, no one could tell me where she was." "She's okay. She's in Chicago. And she's been looking for you too." "Chicago? How did she get to Chicago?" Terrell explained how Maya had been moved between foster homes in different states. David had been searching in California, where Maya's parents had lived. "Can I see her? Can you bring her to me?" "Actually," Terrell said with a smile, "I think it would be better if you came here. She's been through a lot. Seeing you in a familiar place might be easier." 3 days later, Terrell stood with Maya outside the same hospital where his own life had changed 5 years ago. Maya was nervous and excited, holding Terrell's hand tightly. "What if he doesn't remember me?" she asked. "He's been looking for you for 3 years. He remembers you." A taxi pulled up, and a tall man in jeans and a button-down shirt got out. Maya stared at him for a moment, then broke into the biggest smile Terrell had ever seen. "Uncle David," she screamed, running toward him. David dropped his bag and caught her in a huge hug. Both of them were crying and laughing at the same time. "Maya, oh my God, Maya, I thought I'd lost you forever. I knew you'd find me. I knew you wouldn't forget about me." Terrell watched from a distance, tears in his own eyes. This never got old. Watching families reunite always felt like a miracle. Later that afternoon, Terrell's phone rang. It was Michael. "How did it go?" Michael asked. "Perfect. Another family back together. You know what this means, right?" "What?" "You just came full circle. You made the phone call that changed someone's life." Terrell hadn't thought about it that way, but Michael was right. 5 years ago, Keisha had made a brave phone call that brought Terrell home. Now Terrell was making those same kinds of calls for other kids. That evening, Terrell went to Michael's house for their weekly family dinner. Keisha was there with her husband and 2 young children. Michael's sons, Marcus and Jeffrey, came with their families. The house was full of noise and laughter. "How's the little troublemaker?" Terrell asked, picking up Keisha's 3-year-old daughter, Deanna. "She's perfect," Keisha said. Just like her namesake would have been. They had named the little girl after Terrell's mother. It seemed right to honor the woman who had started their family story. During dinner, Terrell told everyone about Maya and her Uncle David. "That's the 15th family you've reunited this year," Michael said proudly. "And it's only July," Keisha added. "I have news," Terrell announced. "Sarah and I are getting married next month." The table erupted in cheers and congratulations. Sarah was a social worker Terrell had met through his foundation work. She shared his passion for helping children find their families. "We want a small wedding," Terrell continued. "Just family." "Which family?" little Diana asked innocently. Everyone laughed. "All of it," Terrell said. "Blood family, chosen family, found family. Everyone who helped make us who we are." After dinner, Michael, Keisha, and Terrell sat on the porch like they had so many times over the years. "Do you ever think about that first phone call?" Michael asked. "Every day," Terrell said. "It's the reason I do what I do." "Any regrets about how it all happened?" Keisha asked. "Not a single one," Terrell replied. "Everything happened exactly the way it was supposed to." Michael's phone buzzed with a text message. He looked at it and smiled. "What is it?" Keisha asked. "It's from Maya's uncle. He says thank you for giving him back his family." "You should tell him something," Terrell said. "What?" "Tell him that families find each other. Sometimes it just takes someone brave enough to make the phone call." As the sun set over Chicago, the 3 of them sat quietly, thinking about all the lives that had been changed by one woman's courage to pick up the phone and lie to save a life. "You know what the best part is?" Terrell said finally. "What?" Michael and Keisha asked together. "Tomorrow, someone else is going to make a phone call that changes everything for another kid. And that kid will grow up and help someone else. It never ends." "The circle of family," Keisha said softly. "The best assist anyone can make," Michael added. As they got ready to go inside, Terrell looked at the 2 people who had given him everything he never knew he needed. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" Keisha asked. "For teaching me that love sometimes means taking risks for people you barely know. For showing me that families come in all different shapes. For proving that one phone call really can change the world." The next morning, Terrell was back in his office when his assistant knocked again. "Another case?" he asked. "A 17-year-old boy named Marcus. He's been in the system for 5 years. Says he has a sister somewhere but doesn't know how to find her." Terrell smiled and reached for his phone. "Get me everything we can find about Marcus and clear my schedule. We have a family to reunite." As he started making calls, Terrell thought about Maya and Uncle David, now home together where they belonged. He thought about all the children still waiting to find their families, and he thought about the simple truth that had guided his life for 5 years. Love wins. One call, one chance, one family at a time. That's how one brave phone call changed 3 lives forever and created a ripple of kindness that's still helping families today. Where are you listening from? Drop your city in the comments below. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button to spread more kindness in the world. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss stories that prove love always finds a way. Speaking of incredible true stories, click on the video appearing on your screen right now. You won't believe what happens next.